Up next on Inside ChampCar. Doing it in the dirt, on the asphalt, and in front of the camera. That's next.
Now, you spend a lot of time on pit lanes and at racetracks with the pros and such. So what's the big – there's not really a big difference between the two other than money.
Yeah.
And skill.
Yeah. And you know, the honest truth is I have driven against Joey Logano and a bunch of the Cup guys. I've driven against Scott Goodyear and Scott Sharp and some of the IndyCar guys from the 2000 to 2010 area. And the front third of this field can compete with those guys. I've driven against them both on a regular basis, and I know what I see. The guys here in Champ are good. The front of this field is a bunch of talented guys. And so the difference is money. The difference is how early you get into it and how much money you've got behind you. And then there's crossover people like me where you race in a series that is technically amateur, but you make your living on sponsorship and stuff like that. So it can be done.
Yeah.
Welcome to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Bielanski. And we've got my main man, Bill Strong, is here with us. And that guy, that good-looking guy in the big box is none other than Stephen Cox. He's a racer.
Hollywood superstar.
That's right.
Wait, he's a racer. That's right.
Stephen Hollywood Cox is what we should call him from now on. There we go. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing good. I've been looking forward to talking to you guys. Brian, it's great to see you. Bill, it's good to see you last weekend. It had been like a year since.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, that was a fun weekend. So we normally start this show with Brian yelling at me, but we're not going to allow that today. What we're going to do is say, how did you get started in this crazy thing we call racing?
Well, I played everything there was to play all the way through high school, and I had just a spectacular basketball career because I'm from Indiana. That's what we do, right? And it eventually had occurred to me that at 6 feet tall, I was only going to take this so far. And my dad had taken me since the time I was about 10 or 11 years old every weekend to Paragon Speedway in Indiana, to Lincoln Park Speedway, to the Speedrome, and to Bloomington Speedway. And that was just what we did. That was our father and son thing. And I lived for Saturday night. And when it became clear that, there was going to be a ceiling to my basketball success, then I thought, I want to be an athlete. Right. I want to continue being an athlete and take this as professional as I can, whatever level that may be. And so we went out and started dirt racing. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to reach my ceiling really quick on this, not to mention my financial ceiling because I can't do a sprint car engine. So what do I do now? Well, learn asphalt. That means go-kart racing. And from there, I went back into ovals on asphalt, and it's just one thing after another then. So that's how I got into it.
So, we see you all over the place. We see you on, so you're racing. Did it lead to your TV job? Yeah,
it really did, Bill. And that's interesting. Everybody now, we got 32 million people a year that watch Mecum Auctions and Mav TV and so many other things that I'm on. And people kind of identify me that way, but I was a racing driver long before I ever got my first gig on television. I actually ended up on the first show I ever did was a go-kart show in Indianapolis called Saturday Night Lightning. It was on ESPN2. I got that gig because, remember, just a second ago, I told you that I wanted to move from dirt to asphalt. So I started doing go-karts for a little while. And at the same time, I picked up a job in radio. And then ESPN, lo and behold, they find out. And so I go in and I test and do a screening and all that. And they say, hey, he's not great, but maybe we'll put up with him. Come on, Stephen. And so that was my first gig, was actually on ESPN2's Saturday Night Lightning telecast with go-karts. And Sarah Fisher and Danica Patrick was on that.
I was just going to say, wasn't that the show that kind of gave Danica Patrick the spotlight to then?
That's what it was.
Yes.
So it's your fault. I mean, you're responsible.
Yeah, I guess I'm partially responsible. Yeah.
Now you did go-karts in Indiana. Do you know Mark Dismore?
I do. Yeah. Mark's a good guy.
Yeah.
And of course, they built that new track in Newcastle, just south of Newcastle, right off I-70. I drive past it all the time, but I haven't seen Mark in years now.
Yeah. He's responsible for a lot of careers.
So I
He
know
is.
a question everybody's asking online. They're not, but did you have that radio or that voice before you started doing the shows? Or have you always had that radio voice?
Nobody ever likes their own voice, and I was no exception. But I guess it's always been there. I mean, that's I started. Boy, I can't even remember if I started racing or radio first, but it was almost simultaneous because I thought one of these has to take off.
Right,
Well,
right.
I've kind of been going like this the whole time. So
That's awesome.
maybe I never totally succeed in either one of them. I don't know, but I'm still making a living, so who cares?
Yeah, that's right.
Did you have to go through that top 40 yuck it up radio voice phase that every one of us tried to mimic and be, a Wolfman Jack wannabe? I sounded like
Pretty much.
Wolfman Jack for 15 minutes every morning after a heavy night of bourbon. And then I sounded like Pee Wee Herman about an hour and a half later. So, but they still let me on the radio.
Well, we always called them pukers.
Exactly.
Hello, everybody. We always called them pukers. Can you act like a puker? So that's
That's
Well,
all.
see, isn't AM radio, you don't have to have that deep voice, but when you're on FM, you have a much wider spectrum, don't you?
surround sound.
Yes.
You feel it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're racing, you started a dirt track, now when did you actually start road racing?
Oh boy, I did not start road racing until about 2000 to 2002 or 3, somewhere in there. And I had been doing ovals for a long time. And a guy from Tulsa, Oklahoma called me up and he said, "Hey, we got a little track out here in Hallett." And I said, "What's a Hallett?" And he goes, "Well, that's a village, a little town." I said, "Where's it at?" And he goes, "Well, I'm in Tulsa. It's west of town."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, okay, what do you have?" And he said, "Well, we've got 2 cars. It's actually 2 separate teams. The first one was a Formula Atlantic, and the other one was a Datsun 240Z that competed in GT2." And I said, "I'll take your ride and I'll take your ride." And we went out and finished, I think, 4th in the Formula Atlantic race. And then I went right back a few weeks later and we won the GT2 race. And I thought,
cool.
Maybe this whole oval thing isn't what it cracked up to be. It was more their fault than mine because they built fantastic cars and put me in them. But that's the first time I went road racing, and it was really instant success. And we not had instant success on ovals, so I kind of jumped on it.
So just a few weeks ago, Brian went out to Hallett for the first time, and a week later I followed. I've been out there a bunch of times. Great little track. And now they have a tunnel, so you don't have to shut down the track to get out if you're stuck in the middle.
Brand new. And I haven't seen the tunnel yet, but I'm dying to get back out there and say hi to the Stevens family.
Yeah.
The track is very technical, and it was built in the 1970s, and it's one of the last remaining tracks that were built during the explosion of road racing in the 1950s through the 1970s. Tracks were cropping up everywhere. Every place that had an asphalt cornfield or a airstrip, anything, people would turn it into a racetrack. This is one of the very last ones built by Anatoly Aruntanov.
Yep.
Super nice guy. And it is a gem. It's one that we still have.
It's fast.
It's faster than you think. And I can tell you guys a story. This is a crack up. The Stevens family owns it. And Mike Stevens, the patriarch of the family, passed away some years ago, but I got to know him pretty well. We went out there and won a bunch of races, won 2 championships, just had a barrel of fun in the Datsun I told you about. And I was talking, Mike would always give me a hard time when he'd go by the pits, and I'd shout an insult back at him. He was just a great guy. And I told him something about, the racing industry needs to do better than you. And he laughed and he goes, "I'm not in the racing industry." And I said, "Yeah, Mike, I actually think you are." He goes, "Stephen, let me tell you something." He goes, "I'm not in the racing industry. You know what I'm in? I'm in the ego gratification industry. And here's what I do." He goes, "You know that trophy that we hand you every time?" And I said, "Yeah, it's huge freaking trophies, like 3 feet tall." And he goes, it's the picture trophy. He goes, every single person that comes to my racetrack, I don't care what class you're in, if you finish on the podium, even in a class where there's 3 people, you are getting on that podium, you're going to hold that trophy, and you're going to have your photo taken, because that's what people come here for, and there's nothing wrong with it. I learned a lesson from Mike Stevens.
Yeah.
And they have one of the best little podiums of the small track industry. Yeah. I mean,
built
of
that
course, you
about
got
10 years
Indy or
ago.
whatever, but it's such a cool little thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you drive off the track coming out of the last turn. You take a left and go up a little hill and on a right.
Yep.
You park, all 3 cars will fit right in their great big,
Yep.
and they've got a big backdrop that's put up
Yep.
against it. They did a nice job, and I say it's new. They probably built that 2010, 2012, maybe.
Yeah.
So were you
Yeah.
were you greeted with the chicken song?
Oh, I forgot all about that. You are so right.
Yeah.
It's 7 o'clock.
Yep.
7 o'clock. If you haven't been to Hallett Motor Racing Circuit, people, when you go out there and you camp on site, they say, well, don't worry about setting your alarm. The track opens at 8, but we play the chicken song at 7. And I said, what's the chicken song? And they said, don't worry, you'll know. And you will. They were right. You'll know. It's a bunch of chickens singing. It's hysterical. And once you go there and experience it, it's a local tradition at Hallett.
It is. I was setting up for our broadcast, and no one warned me, by the way. and I had a WTF moment.
I did warn you. Oh,
did
maybe I'd put it cryptically.
Yeah, I don't think
think I
I
did
understood what
cryptically.
you meant. And when
Yeah.
you did warn me, it was like a week or 2 later, and
Right.
and I had forgotten maybe. But my gosh, I was like, do they? And then they did it the next day. I'm like, do they do this every morning? And apparently the answer to that question is yes. It's just a slice of motorsports Americana, though.
Yeah.
There's nothing pretentious about Hallett. It's just good folks getting together and loving cars.
Yeah, it is one of those priceless little gems that if you don't know about it, you'll go your entire career. But I was fortunate though, because that's the very first road race I ever did. And we went back there, and I still don't think I've won more races at any other track in America than Hallett Motor Racing Circuit. I bet they've won there 15, 18 times. It's been a lot of fun. They're good
Yeah.
people.
So
Yeah.
you came from first dirt, then asphalt, and then you had really quick success road racing. Do you attest that to the dirt?
No, I attest it to the car builders.
Okay.
And the were not me, I assure you. No, what happened was I'm not a mechanic. I can do it,
Right.
but I don't enjoy it. I'm not good at it. I don't have a depth of talent and skill as a mechanic or an engineer. I'm very artistic, and the artistic end of motor racing is the driving aspect of it. The engineering, the mathematical end of it, the stuff that I'm not good at is being under the car and being smart enough to build a winner. And so I figured that out in oval racing, which I still do and I still enjoy. But I figured out very quickly that I have an open wheel modified. We're running the IMCA series and a couple of other series at the same time. We're traveling all over the Midwest. We would win a race or two in each year, but we weren't over the top. And I thought, I'm funding most of this myself. I've got to learn to raise sponsorship if I'm going to do this for a living. I mean, you're joking, you're kidding yourself. You're delusional if you think you can be in this sport as a professional, or even if it's part of your living and not raise sponsorship. It's not going to happen. So I got to learn to do that. And I also have to separate myself from the engineering aspect of running a team. And as soon as I did that and started aligning myself with the right people, I mean, listen, if you've got, Matt Peterson or a Joe Bungert or somebody like that building your car, you're going to succeed.
Right.
You're going to succeed. These people know what they're doing. Todd Carver. I mean, there's some great guys out there that really know their stuff. And what I needed to do was get out of my own way, put myself in a position to win under good people. And it was instant.
And they're pretty good with strategy too. So they're feeding you, info about what's going on, how much fuel you have, blah, 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 this and that. And
Yeah.
adjust
Yeah,
accordingly.
and that all comes back to experience. And if you're trying to do that while you're in the race car, you're not going to be as successful as
Right.
guys that split up those and have a division of labor within the team. And when I was in my earliest days in open wheel modifieds, and then we went into ARCA trucks, and it wasn't working when I was trying to do too much.
Right. So the question here, John Wittenauer asked, money and skill, which would you rather have?
Money. Next question.
Well, will money buy skill?
Think about that for a second, Stephen.
Yeah, I really had to
no,
deal with that one for a
Yeah.
while. Absolutely, I would rather have money. I'm not going to name names, but you know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know, and we can sit down and we could name the names in IndyCar, and you
Yeah.
would come up with the exact same names on the exact same list of guys who got all the way to the top of American open wheel racing and made it to the Indianapolis 500, and they didn't do it with talent.
Right.
So what you end up with is a situation where talent without money is a dead end. In most cases, there's a few guys that still squeeze through, but the honest truth of the matter is talent with money is a dead end. Money with no talent, number one, can put you at a higher level of racing and get you where you need to be. And more importantly, that gives you a chance to learn and become good, even if you're not. And without money, you aren't going anywhere. So my answer is money, and
Yeah. I mean, we see it in our series too. I mean, we don't have a lot of money. Our guys don't really spend all that much money on their cars, though the guys building it probably think they're spending a ton of money on it. But we have so many drivers that I see out there that are really, really good. And if they did have that little extra bit of cash, well, no, you have to have a lot of
extra
cash to move up, because that little bit will get you a little bit further up, and then
Yeah.
you just got to go. But yeah, it's just a huge amount of cash to get up there at the top.
Well, I didn't hear the entirety of the cut, but Bill, I remember talking to you after the race. I think it may have been Sunday night. I'm not sure. And I mentioned the fact that the guys toward the front of the field in ChampCar and in other amateur road races.
WRL's the same way, yeah.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, the honest truth of the matter is, the guys toward the front can compete at that level. Now, if you want to come in and say, well, when the chips are down in the biggest races in the world, the amateur guys, they may make a mistake that the pros won't. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not arguing that. But from a general standpoint, and here's the other thing. When you're making this comparison, guys, here's a critical point. When we make this comparison in our minds, what do? We always think, what if the guy at the front of the ChampCar field could be moved up to IndyCar, to whatever? How would he do? You need to reverse that. You need to ask, what if you took Joey Logano or any of the guys in IndyCar and Roman Grosjean, and you took them back down and put them in ChampCar? And you went to our 35 car field at Autobahn last weekend, and you put them in the 17th fastest car. Where would they end up? Well, they're probably going to outperform the guys that are in that car now.
Right.
They are not going to win that race. They're not. There is a difference, but they are not superhuman. They are not gods. The front 10, 15 guys that I ran against last weekend at Autobahn, they are good race car drivers. I have driven, not at the top level, and I'm not making that claim, but I have driven against some of the guys, many of the guys who run at the top level. And guys, pat yourself on the back. There's some good drivers in this series.
Well, and I would suggest, Stephen, that a big difference between some of those names, the Joey Logano's, the Joseph Newgardens, whatever big time pro guys you're talking about, and the guys at the pointy end of the next rung, the ChampCar, the SCCA, the WRLs. One of the big differences is seat time. Those guys drive for a living. They're driving 15 races a year, 18 races a year in IndyCar, 36 races a year in any level of NASCAR, except for trucks. I think trucks does only 25. But nonetheless, they're in a car pretty much every weekend. And even the lowest level of car in those series is still a pretty gosh darn good race car. So, and they've got a whole team to support them. And when you're just going every weekend to get in a car, you don't have to worry about, did you tighten up the fan belt? Did you change the spark plugs?
Yeah.
Is there gas in the car? And your sole focus is on driving a race car. You're going to get better. And
Well, let's take Brian's thought one level deeper, because you are dead on right. And not only, though, is it seat time, Brian, but in addition to that, one thing I'm really bad at, I forget to change the visor on my helmet, especially when I'm running an oval and we qualify during the day, and then I go out at night and I put my helmet on, I got my earbuds on, I can't see a thing. And I always forget my earpieces. So I put my Hans on, I put my Nomex on, I put my helmet on, oh, daggone it, I got to take it all back off again.
Right.
The stress that causes a driver when you're getting back in the car and you're thinking, oh no, they're calling me to the grid, I forgot my earpieces, I got to take all this stuff back off. That never happens to Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah.
That will never happen,
Yeah.
because he has 15 people around him totally focused on making sure that everything is done on his behalf. Now, if you had that, how much faster could you go? How much more reliable could you be? How much more consistent could you be on the track? The answer is considerably, and that's the truth.
well, it's like Lewis Hamilton had his physio with him all the time, and she was amazing. And the guys at the back of the pack, even in Formula One, don't necessarily have that level of attention given to them. And you might want to wonder what the difference is between Lewis Hamilton and maybe some of the guys in the back of the pack. It's the idea that you want to have that singular focus, and you have one job to do, and that is to drive that race car, not to figure out what visor's on your helmet, not to figure out where your earpieces are, and that makes a ton of sense.
And we haven't even talked yet about your diet and your full workout
come on
regimen.
now.
And the
I am
fact that
such
most
a
of the
fit-
guys in ChampCar, they have to be back at work at 7 o'clock on Monday morning, which
Right.
means they have to drive until 3 a.m. to try to get home. All those things slow you down, do not allow you to learn and be completely absorbed by the sport, because, and I think the comparison is really accurate. And I stand by what I say. The front guys, the front 6, 8, 15 guys are truly capable of running at the next level. They're good.
Now let's talk sponsorship. I'm guessing these guys are not good to have. Somebody said they want their money back every month.
Well, sponsorship, the thing is, man, I had two really big, wonderful sponsors in 2020, 21, and 22. And for 3 years, I was racing basically full time, weekend to weekend. I was in Oval one weekend, Grid Life the next weekend, then something else the weekend after that. And then I would do a Mecum show, and I'd be home for 48 hours, and I'd be off into another race again. And I ended up parting ways with a couple of sponsors, and I instead went to some smaller sponsors. Right now, I've got Brian Broderick, Fisher and Sons Recycling and Salvage out of Fort Recovery, Ohio, is on board with me. Cars and Convos, Ron and all the people that run Cars and Convos. Toso Bathica is about to come on board with me here in just the next couple of weeks, and it's a little bit smaller, but it takes so much pressure off, because I wanted to run the Autobahn with you guys. And if you have a sponsor that is paying you 5 figures and well into 5 figures, and they say that I want you over here this weekend, guess where you're going?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you say, I can't really find a good ride there. I've done everything I could. We're going to be at the back of the pack. Doesn't matter. You can get the money back and try to go work at McDonald's, or you can go where they say to go, and you're going to run at the back of the pack because it's the only ride you can get. So if you have smaller sponsors that work with you in the thousands of dollars ranges instead of 40, 50,000, 5 figures,
Right.
You have more flexibility. They come out, they enjoy the race more, they have a more intimate relationship, and it really takes the pressure off and allows you to run where you want to run.
What's the sell for like a sponsor to come and let you go race ChampCar?
For me, I've got a little bit of an unfair advantage, and I don't want to sit here and ignore that and say, well, by the sweat of my brow, I raise sponsorship. Well, I'm on TV. That is an unfair advantage,
Sure.
and I admit it. So, but at the same time, Michael Andretti had a rich dad. It
Right.
wasn't his fault
out. I mean, he's not going to turn down the ride over it. And so that is one thing that does help, is having a little bit of television time behind you. But the sell is, you have a company, you want some way to advertise to people. Now, you can come out and advertise through them through a newspaper ad or a television ad, or just plastering your name on the side of a billboard as you're going down the interstate. Nothing wrong with any of those. But the advertising barrier automatically goes up. People know they're being advertised to.
Right.
But if you go to one of my sponsors and they're carrying pictures of my last race, now that advertising barrier where it's like, okay, I got to sit here through another 30-second ad. All I want to do is watch Magnum PI or something. You're automatically routing around that. Now you're producing content that viewers will go on the Facebook page or the Twitter page or whatever of carsandconvos.com or Toso Bathica, and they'll go to that page because they want the content. Hey, how did you guys do last week? Oh, I can't believe it. You blew out the diff when you were running fifth. That's fantastic. Maybe you'll do better next time. Now they're involved in the story, and they're spending the same money. And now the people from Fisher & Sons Recycling, or Brian Broderick and his son Taylor, they came out last week, had a good time with me. So they can enjoy what's happening. They can have content, not ads, content that's of interest and a storyline that is on their social media pages. They can enjoy what's doing and enjoy the competition themselves, and they can route around the advertising barrier that consumers automatically have when they see an ad. So that's my sell.
Right.
Yeah.
And, today's day and age, it's so much easier in some respects because it's easier to make the content. We all have GoPros in our car. We have the ChampCar live stream that you can queue up to the spot where Bill and Paulie and the crew are talking about your car, and you can put that up on your social this or your Facebook, your Insta, your TikTok, or whatever you want to do. That wasn't the case when I was doing this in 1988. I didn't have anything. I had to see if the Elkhorn Independent weekly newspaper would run an article about me for the 4,000 people in my town. Everyone who knew me didn't care about my article, but that was my sell. And now we've got all these different options. You can go home after you're done, put together your 30-second or your minute or your 5-minute video, and then you can tag all of your sponsors, and that instantly gives them value. And that's something that it's a lot easier to do if you have the time and the energy to go and do it.
Well, tell me something, guys. What are the Gulf colors? Just tell me what they are.
Blue, orange.
Oh, the Gulf.
There you go.
Yes.
You know when that car ran? 50 years ago.
I know.
Yep.
And we still, to this day, know exactly what those colors and what that livery looks like. Now, I challenge you to show me a billboard that in the year 2052, people are going to look back and say, oh, I remember the color of that billboard. It was the most beautiful thing. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're bringing something special. So ChampCar guys and all of my colleagues, when you go out to a race, if you're serious about moving forward in the sport and getting a little bit of support on your side, don't you dare show up without somebody being a designated photographer. You need to walk out of there with 300, 400, 500 photographs. And even the worst photographer in the world, if you throw away the worst 300 of them, you got 40 that are pretty good.
Yep.
And those will serve your sponsors for many years to come. The Gulf colors are still advertising to this day, 50 years later.
Well, they're still a company because we have a golf station. I'm in Central Virginia. We have golf around here too. So.
And the other thing,
that's a perfect example.
And the other thing I tell people is that, racing enthusiasts, fans, participants are horribly brand loyal. When I go to the grocery store to buy laundry detergent, I still buy laundry detergent that comes in an orange bottle.
That your mom bought.
That I started buying when I went to college because that laundry detergent was on the front of a cup car. And to this day, that company, can I say it, Bill? Sure. I buy Tide. Okay. And Tide hasn't been in NASCAR in 15, 20 years, but I still buy Tide. And it's just that brand loyalty that enthusiasts of motorsports, because we understood the sponsorship game as fans long before the sponsors understood the sponsorship game in racing. We knew that if we wanted our favorite drivers to go out there and race, we had to support their company, the stuff on the front of their cars. And that still holds today. And people will, when I go to VIR, for instance, there's always a car there that has this local pizza joint from Danville. And I try to get there at least once a race weekend to buy a pizza. I like pizza, but I could also go to the Hut or any of that stuff. But I chose to go to this local thing, and that's the way racers are.
Well, if we don't do it, nobody else is going to.
Right.
And, I always tell people during sponsorship pitches that if you have a billboard on the side of the road, you drive past at 70 miles an hour, you might miss it. But if I have my billboard and I blast past you at 150, you ain't going to miss it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, let's change the subject a little bit here. Stephen, we have a big change coming soon. Not necessarily what, us, gas loving guys like.
Oh, okay. Now I know where he's going.
Yeah. We're being required to move to plug-in cars, things like that, alternative energy cars. Do you think this is having an effect on racing now?
Yeah, unfortunately it is, because Americans have forgotten what made them Americans. Being criminal, treasonous, rebellious traitors is what made us Americans to begin with. Have you ever read a freaking history book?
Yeah. Yep.
We need to learn to disobey. So whenever somebody comes up and says, you're going to drive the car I say that you're going to have to drive, we need to be prepared to say no and simply violate the law. No, oh, you can't say it. I just did say that.
Yeah.
We need to be prepared to say, no, we're going to drive what we choose to drive. I don't care what you say. You can write anything on a piece of paper you want, and we will disobey. And secondly, we also need to remember that to a great extent, this is a massive con game, and we can look at electric race cars to start with. You hear time and time again, oh, this is the better technology. This is the better technology. Then why do you need a separate series? I mean, if it was the better technology, couldn't you bring an electric car out to Autobahn last weekend, run it for 7 hours and win? But you can't do that, can you? So it's not a better technology. If it was, you wouldn't need your own series. This is a technology that's 120 years old, and it was abandoned for a very good reason, because what we needed was renewable, sustainable energy. And that's exactly what fossil fuels have provided us for over a century.
I like, and John Whitnauer again says he's a chemical engineer. He's going to make his own gasoline if necessary. But Porsche and other companies are looking at alternative fuels as well, liquid fuels, not.
Well, I'll tell you, my issue here is I love cars. Okay, mm-hmm. If people make cars that run on hydrogen, I'm all for them. You want to make them run on electricity, I'm all for them. If you want to make them run on peanut butter, I'm all for that too. That's just more cars for all of us, because I love cars. I don't care what they run on. But the move toward EVs is not an organic movement in direct response to the pleas and requests of actual human beings. Right. It is something that is being conned and jammed down our throats against our will. And we need to fight that, and fight it viciously with rebellion and with disobedience. Then once we win, for the guys that want electric cars, I'll help you work on it. More power to you. I have no problem with it whatsoever, but I'm not going to buy the con, and I'm not going to have it jammed down my throat.
Do you think it's going to reduce the cost of a Porsche GT3 RS so that people like us could afford one?
If it was, they wouldn't build it, Bill.
Because I'm all for electric if that's so.
Can we switch gears? I know we told you we were only going to keep you for a half hour, but I
get paid by the hour, so it doesn't matter.
We've got our hooks in you, so we're going to keep you for just a few more minutes here. Can we talk about Mecum? How dang cool is it to be there and just literally see decades of history roll in front of you every weekend? That has just got to be the coolest dang thing.
Well, if you try to think in your mind just how unbelievably awesome that it must be, everything that you're thinking is completely right. And I'm enormously thankful to be there. I owe a great deal of gratitude to Dana Meekum personally, to Frank, to the Meekum family, and to the management that runs that company. Because, see, I don't work for Meekum. I'm an outside contractor. They have chosen to bring me in to help host the show for 16 years now. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. You get to see not just the most amazing cars ever, but you get to hang with some people that are like so far above my level. Richard Petty comes in and he knows me by name, and I talk to him when he comes to the shows every year or two. We see him at another show. I never had another job where I could do that, you know.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Jerry Lee Lewis came in and sang "Great Balls of Fire" live when he was selling his Harley Davidson. I got to see the guy's a legend of the 1950s original rock and roll era, and I got to see him and meet him. And it's just one person after another in fact, Joey Logano, he came out. I hadn't seen him since his days in the Hooters television series with stock cars some years ago. I used to know him there, and I got to see him. So it's not just the fact that Meekum is an incredibly successful, wonderful company to be able to work with. And it's not just the cars, it's the atmosphere that they create. And if you come out to a Meekum auction, you'll get to be part of that atmosphere, and you'll get to see some of those cool people.
Is it also kind of cool, the people whose names you don't know, who are there to bid? And, sometimes maybe they've got tons of money and that's how they would spend, or they've saved their entire life to come and buy that one car. I think that's also a part of the onion, the layers of the onion that makes Meekum so cool.
Well, you're right. See, there's three types of buyers that come out to Meekum auctions. Number one, you have dealers. And there's some dealers there, and they don't get a lot of airtime, and they don't want it, but they're there, and that's fine. I mean, we're there for them too.
Sure.
The second thing is people with enormous, insane amounts of money that they don't even know they have because it's all lost into the couch.
Right.
They come out, and you usually don't see them, and you usually will have them through a phone bidder, or they'll have a representative on site, and you never see the car again. It just disappears into wherever they live. And more power to them. If they earned their money, honestly, I'm glad they got it. And then the third kind is the kind of buyer that Brian just told us about. He's the kind of guy that is wanted at 1967 fastback Mustang his whole life. And now he's 68 years old, and he finally has a chance, and his kids are there with him, and they're bidding on it, and they win it. And that one is the heartwarming one. That's the one that we all love,
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. What's the coolest car? What's your favorite car that's ever went down the line?
That's the easiest question ever, because I'm a Mustang guy.
Okay.
I love Mustangs. And I got to know Chad McQueen a little bit, Steve McQueen's son. And Chad actually comes out to Monterey on a pretty regular basis. We see him every year or two. He'll come out and say hi to the gang, and they'll have a car that they sell or something like that. But the original Bullet Mustang in Highland green with an S code 390 big block engine crossed the block a couple of years ago. I think it was at Kissimmee, and that one was a heart stopper. Everybody's seen that movie. Everybody knows the car, and
I touched it.
Movie car. You did? You?
I touched it. I touched it. Yes.
You got past security.
Yes, it was at SEMA.
I
touched it.
I watched that go down the line. My wife thought I was, my wife thinks I'm a nutcase anyway, but I'm like so excited, and she didn't. And my wife's a movie nut, so when that night we rented Bullet, and all of a sudden it came together for her, and she goes, "Okay, now I understand why you were so geeked out over this."
Yeah, now you get it. And did you know that Steve McQueen tried for years afterwards to buy that back from the family? And it was owned by a school teacher, and she ended up passing it on to her children, and it became her children's retirement plan. And they sold it for what, $3.5 million? I can't remember what it went for.
And she was a school teacher, I believe, who drove it back and forth to school every day for decades.
Yep.
Yeah, she did. She did.
That's
and
so cool.
Then it got passed on to her kids. And, what a great thing to be able to do for your family is to, here, kids, here's your retirement plan. And that's what she did. That was a great story.
Yeah.
Well, I was friends with John Sturgis. John Sturgis's son. I worked with him at University of Virginia. And, John Sturgis was a director of Le Mans.
Right. Yes.
Well,
we just
the
watched
original
that with my
director.
sons.
and he was the original director of Le Mans. Then he quit. They had a falling out. But he did some stuff with Bullet, and I forget what exactly it was, some behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, that was just being able to touch that car and the history, and actually seeing that movie in 1968 or 69 in the drive-in theater, sitting in my dad's brand new 1968 Dodge Charger.
Well,
that was awesome.
The Meekum family goes worldwide.
Right.
Finding the most incredible cars you can possibly imagine. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know. I don't, that's not my end of the business.
Right.
I have no idea, but they find them. And I have seen so many priceless, historic, one-of-a-kind vehicles that it would blow your mind. But the one that jumps out at, because I'm a Mustang guy, the Bullet Mustang is it for me.
Yeah.
So I have one question though. Now, going to the cars that are, multi-million dollars, whatever, the winged Chryslers, Dodges, the Dodge and Plymouths, how they kind of ruined, the Aero Wars ruined NASCAR for a little bit. We're getting Aero Wars in ChampCar. What do you think?
I really enjoy that aspect of auto racing. So I say, I know you're going to take points off, and I know that you do what you have to do. Just don't outlaw them, because every car has two kinds of grip. There's only two ways. And a physical object stays on terra firma planet Earth. Only two ways. Number one, by mechanical grip, which is the actual rubber touching the asphalt with mechanical grip. And number two, it's the air pushing it down. There's no other way that an object stays on planet Earth other than gravity. So when you add that aspect to ChampCar, it matters at the bigger tracks. And I don't know if Champ's going to Brainerd this year. That's not the point. Stay with me. They got a big long straightaway there. And you have to make up your mind. Do we want to trim that out? I was with Matt Peterson at Gingerman's 6 or 8 years ago. And I told him, I said, Matt, if you will trim this the rest of the way out, I can get you another half second. I can guarantee you another half second. And he said, no. He goes, we got 5 guys on this team, and we need to keep the car pinned down just to have a baseline for everybody. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But you never have any of those discussions. You never learn any of that stuff. And you never have the enjoyment of going out and saying, we did this too much. We had to take some wing out. We're out 3.5 miles an hour on the straightaway. This is going to kill us. You lose all that with no arrow. So my vote is you keep it.
Yes.
I like your gravity. I mean, that's my new selling point. If you need extra weight in the car to get the thing to stick, just put me in it. I can help you with that. I can help you with that. So, all right. So before we let you go, Stephen, I just want to say, if for some reason God robs you of your voice just temporarily on a Saturday morning at a Meekum auction, call me. I will drive, fly, take a rocket ship. I will walk 500 miles. I will do whatever I have to be, because I would be more than happy to be your super sub.
You are on my list, and I'll move you to the very top, because it's a long list.
I was going to say, I'm sure I'm one of about 700 people who have volunteered to do that.
Can I say a couple of good things about ChampCar before we finish?
Please.
Yes. No,
please. No. All right. I can't hear it.
You're recording, right? So we have record of this.
First of all, the 5-minute pit stop is the greatest blessing ever. It's a brilliant idea. Thank you. Secondly, putting drivers back in charge of safety is a big thing. We have been in such a fanatically authoritarian universe, and we're raised in that from the time we're in school, that we don't know how to function on our own, when that's exactly backwards. A racing series is not a master. They're a servant. They're there to do as they are instructed, to serve the people that they're holding a race for. And it is a huge compliment. Drivers should be in charge of their own safety. No one else. No one. And what ChampCar has decided to do is to say, drivers, we're going to be a servant. We're putting you back in charge. You inspect your own material. You inspect your own helmet. And if you're satisfied and you tell us that you have honestly looked at your safety gear, we're going to take your word for it if you fill out an affidavit. That is a massive leap forward in intelligence, in integrity, and in rules making for all of auto racing that a lot of other people can learn from. And I love the fact that ChampCar is not afraid to reach down market, because we have other series out there in the amateur endurance racing categories that are reaching up market. Let them.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them. I got nothing bad to say about them.
No.
I love for them, but don't be afraid to reach down market. ChampCar is saying, if you've only got a 4-cylinder, it's a beat up Miata and it's not very fast, we have a class and you are going to be able to go out and have fun.
Yep.
So I have nothing but good things to say about ChampCar, and thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you, Stephen.
Well, that's a good way to end things.
Yes, it is.
Did you pay him for that, Bill?
Nah. Well, the check might bounce.
All right. So, Stephen Cox, thanks for
Stephen.
being with us so much. We really appreciate it. We're going to go and listen to the Winner's Circle interviews from Autobahn. And then when we come back, I'm sure Bill has something else that we should talk about. Stay with us. This is Inside ChampCar. We'll be right back.
Down here with Premium Dudes. Nathan, man, that was a pretty good race out there today.
Yeah, the car did great. Drivers were pretty good. It performed like it was supposed to. So it's always nice when things go as planned.
So it was racing that Nissan. That looked pretty fun out there.
I never actually got to race him. I ran first stint, and we were on opposite sides of the track. He was reeling me in for most of the stint, but the other guys were able to race him. Last stint, though, we gave him orders just pull up behind him and just sit there. Yeah.
So, what was the most exciting part out there for you during today's race?
When the shift linkage broke.
Oh, that's right. You only had one gear.
So I ran an hour 50 and then rammed the shifter just right to break it for the rest of the guys, pulled in, and then they only had fourth gear. So, but no. So we came into the pits. The shifter felt real funny. I crawled under there and looked at it, and one of the shifter brackets broke. So I was able to wiggle it and jam it into fourth gear from under the car, and then we just left it there for the rest of the race.
So with that new BMW engine, that torquey little engine, did that hurt you a lot? Because your lap times are pretty darn good.
Well, it would have hurt us more, but our better drivers went last. So.
Well, the fun part about it is this is a sweeping track. I mean, it's not like you have really slow corners.
Right. So the places where you really want second are like 9 and 10. The places where you really want third are like 9 and 10. The rest of the track you can do in fourth gear pretty easily. You don't lose a lot by skipping third.
So did that help you with your fuel mileage?
A whole lot. We skipped a whole stop running a lot of long stint. We did like an hour 20 before the break. We went like an hour 50 after the break and skipped a stop.
So you're going to do anything different tomorrow? You'll be a lap or two down, one lap down, right?
I assume one lap down. We're going to fix the shifter. We're going to come out with third gear this time, and we probably won't be able to go long on fuel, but we'll have better pace.
All right, man. Congrats on the Saturday win here at Autobahn.
Thanks, Bill.
Who were the drivers today for Premium Dudes?
Well, we had Nate Gardner, Andrew Johnson, and me, Kerry Steed.
All right, thank you, Kerry Steed. Two brothers racing here, and their stock. Should I put that in quotes?
Yeah, it is relatively stock. Yeah.
Nissan 350ZX?
Yep, 350Z. Yeah.
Okay.
Auto.
Wait, it's an automatic?
It's a slush box. Yep.
So you let a stick shift beat you?
I don't think we really had a choice, to be honest with you. We were at a pretty clean race. It's a brand new build, so I mean, we honestly, if we could just finish the race, we were happy, and lo and behold, here we are in impound. So
that was a pretty awesome race between you two out there.
Yeah. They stretched fuel. We caught a purple 35, and were able to get a quick pit stop, and then they stretched fuel and saved an entire stop, and that was a lot of the difference. And then they just paced us at the end, so they don't get more penalty laps for tomorrow. But that's what you're supposed to do.
Who's the motorcycle racer on your team? Spent more time on two wheels than he did four.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, I ran motorcycles for a little bit, yeah, but.
No, we're just looking out the tower there, and every time, man, just coming through these turns, it's just two wheels. It's pretty awesome looking.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's untested. It's got a lot of body roll. A lot of body roll. We got to get that out of it.
But it's stock.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got a set of 8, what are they, H&R lowering springs or something on it, and Bilstein shocks, but yeah, it's essentially on stock stuff.
If you don't do that on these stock cars, you end up with a car 5 feet off the ground with 4 feet of fender clearance.
Yeah, well, this one's got pretty good fender clearance. We haven't even cut springs on it yet. We're still learning. We're still learning as we go. So I mean, we have some room to grow, both as a team, drivers.
Who are the drivers today?
Myself, Greg.
Who are you?
Greg Kuhn, Mike Rick, Andy Sugden, and Matt Rick. So
good race, guys. You're going to do anything different tomorrow to catch those BMWs?
Pray they break.
There you go.
No,
we only had one gear today.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. If they find any of the other 4 gears they can use, we're pretty screwed. But I don't know. This is our first time with the car, so we got to pour over it and make sure we're even in good shape for tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, driver mods, that would be good for tomorrow, and then hope they break.
Cool. All right, guys, good luck.
Thank you.
45th Parallel Motorsports, enter Miata, first in A class. Good race out there.
Yes, it was. Nice and clean. We kept it on the track, managed our fuel just enough, started to starve at the end.
So it was kind of touch and go there the last lap?
Right in the last, we were coasting around in 5th for about a half an hour. So, yeah, we were kind of crossing our toes there to make sure we get to the finish line. But yeah.
So who were your drivers today?
We had, well, they're not here, but we had Jeff Stevens, who's our cornerstone. He finished it up. We had a couple of new guys, Adrian and Stephen from the Atlanta area. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations. You going to do anything different tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to do a couple of things here to try to get our fuel starving under control, and probably just basic reprep, and we'll be back at it.
All right. Good luck, man.
Thanks, you. Appreciate it.
Good. Down here with the 517 Gorilla sticker. Good race today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a good race. You know, we had some luck.
Yeah. Like why? Why'd you have luck?
Well, you know, we just caught our pit stops, at the right time, and yeah.
It's a pretty quick car out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does all right.
So who are the drivers today?
Oh, gosh, we had Glenn, Evan, Barry. There are kind of our staples.
The go-to guys?
Yep. And then we had Stephen Cox. He took the checkered flag.
Cool. Is he out like puking somewhere?
Yeah.
But you know those reporters.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he was a little fatigued there towards the end.
Yeah, it was hot out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, guys, you gonna do anything different tomorrow?
No, we're gonna do the same strategy and see if we can trip and fall on the podium again.
All right, congrats.
All right.
All right, down here with Finn Durance, the number 35, 5th place overall. What is that? Nissan Mac? Or no, that's an Infiniti.
Infiniti G35, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
talked about that yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
So it's kind of cool seeing all these Nissans up here today.
Yeah, I love having more Nissans than BMWs.
So who are your drivers today?
We had Blaine Salmonson, Evan Salmonson, Jarrett Salmonson, and Ian Seppinen.
So the
I almost said Salmonson, sorry.
So what was that car like to drive out there today with all these little, I mean, there were some fast cars, there were some slow cars, but it was pretty tough.
It was a blast. I think Jarrett, when he got out of the car, he said it was as fun as a barrel full of monkeys. I don't know what it means either, but yeah.
Is he old or something?
He is, yeah. Yes. Grandpa Jerry.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, you guys going to do anything different tomorrow to catch that BMW?
Yeah, hopefully not lose our cool suit in the trunk. That would be beneficial.
So it just fell out?
Just fell out. Yeah, it was rolling around.
Rolling around. That's kind of weird. You hear this bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, but we lost some water, so it's weight reduction. Yep.
Yeah. Did you get black flag for that?
No.
Oh, okay. Somebody got called. I have to look at the logs again, but for it looked like fluid pouring out of the back of the car. We thought it might have been a cool streak.
Possible.
Yeah. All right, guys. Congrats, 5th place.
Thank you.
That's right. Team 787 down here, Acuna Miata, whatever, something like that. B-class winner today with your Miata with the Harbor Freight jack stands, not jack stands, Harbor Freight jack sides being used to support your wing. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Hey, reuse, recycle, man.
Yeah, that's right. So this gray, flat gray, what is it?
It's called Nardo Gray, and our painter, who's standing right there, did the whole thing in bed liner. So
it looked like that.
Yeah,
that
so
makes
that
it more aero.
More aerodynamic, and other cars just slip right off. So that's.
So, hey, look to see if there's any tire marks on it. No, the bed liner.
That's on the tire marks are on the other side.
So, what was that like out there today with these really quick, like BMWs and Nissans?
It was good out there today. We had fun. Our goal was just to be reliable, and again, at the end, slow and steady does really well here. Yep. And our goal was just to our goal was just to stay out of trouble all day long, and that's what we did. For us, it was a long drive to get here. We came 12 miles. Yeah, we live here in Joliet, so
could have walked.
Yeah, but it was good. It was just nice to be able to come out here, and we've been doing this since 2018. 2016 as a team, 2018 in Champ, and it's just nice to finally bring it home first.
So, who were your drivers today?
So, drivers today, in the green shirt there, my wife Veronica, Brad right next to her, and Derek in the blue shirt. So, Derek was a sub because our normal fourth driver tore his ACL, so he had to cheer us on.
What kind of beer is he drinking?
I think that's Busch Light Peach. Yeah, it's
Busch Peach, really?
Yeah, it's a breakfast of champions.
Kind of goes with the Miata theme.
Yeah, exactly. So, exactly. Hey, it takes a real man to drive a Miata. Yeah.
Third line with the team.
Yep. But yeah,
right.
It was just good to be here. So.
Yeah. All right, good race, man. Look
Thank
good
you.
out there.
Thank you very much, and thanks for putting on a good show.
Thank you. All right, guys, good race. Down here with our EC winner today, the 335. What's the team name of their Maxima?
Oh gosh, I don't even know what our team name is. We just changed it, but it's not. I don't think it could be said on air.
It's all right. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
So out there with this Maxima, it's a first race for it.
We've raced it for a while. We've only finished one race in the past, so today's goal is to finish. So we're pretty happy that we brought it home.
It's pretty tough out there. It looked like it.
It's a great track. The thing that threw us off was the heat. No one really expected the heat. He was feeling pretty bad because of the heat. I felt good until that last stint and was starting to. You got to remind yourself to drink waters, but that was the only curveball I think for today. Lots of good cars out there. Lots of good cars.
It looked fun.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Everyone raced clean. Everyone raced hard. It was a good day.
You gonna do anything different tomorrow?
I'd like to get the brakes a little more firmer for my liking. Other than that, I keep it just as is, and I certainly like the new tires on there. Thank you, Tire Rack. Those things were fantastic.
All right, what tires do you use?
I think we're using Hancooks. Yeah. He builds the car. I just get in and...
There you go, and you just drive it.
Oh, Yokohama's.
They're like those.
Yeah, they were really good. I started on an older set, but man, with a new set of tires, and we put the track out a little bit, the car just came in, had a bit of a push this morning, but man, it was perfect right now.
All right, good luck, man.
Hey, thank you so much. You guys did great.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
Down here with about 500 brothers racing, whole bunches of them. So you showed how badass this little Nissan is.
I was just wondering if they want the Mercedes back yet. They told us we couldn't run that one, so we built this one. Yeah. But yeah, to be honest with you, I think in our interview yesterday, you asked what it would take for us to catch the BMWs, and I said we need them to break, and today they broke. So here we are in first. So we didn't break. We were kind of enjoying the Nissan reliability so far. So
shoot, there's 3 of them here now.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good. It was acting up at the end. This is our first weekend with it, so we're going to have to dig into why it was acting up, but it wasn't wanting to shift correctly at the end, so I don't know if we heard it or what, but we'll find out.
So you're young guys, so you guys know how to drive a stick? I mean, do you know how to,
I actually had the opposite problem. I've been driving a stick for like 15 years. I got in this and I couldn't drive it at first.
Because it's an automatic, isn't it?
Yeah, our first test day, he was having problems with it, and he's like, I told him to bring it down pit lane, power cycle it, figure out. He's like, it won't start. And all of a sudden he's like, oh crap, forgot I gotta put it in park before I can start it. He forgot that you can't just push the clutch in and start it. So yeah, he's probably the only one that we can. Well, these. Yeah,
they're old. They drive automatics, right?
No, all of us actually own manuals. So I drove a manual truck for.
You guys are taking all the fun out of this job.
That's what it is. I don't know. It was pretty fun today. Thank you to ChampCar, our sponsors, Green Industrial. He's sporting that. Pro Car, and Custom Metal Specialists. Nissan. Yeah, thank you to Nissan for the contingency. This is the first time we've gone through it, so thank you for that. That helps.
Who were the drivers this weekend?
Greg Kuhn, myself, Mike Rick, Matt Rick, and Andy Sugden. Well, sorry. I should have gone by brothers. Mike and Matt Rick, and then Andy Sugden and Greg Kuhn. Those are the two pairs.
We actually have a future driver here, Mason Rick, that is learning the ropes. So he's been at the last 5 races, and
He'll be driving soon.
he will be.
As soon as ChampCar lets him, right?
Yeah. So, who was the fastest driver this weekend?
That would be me.
Again?
Yeah.
You just saying that?
No, I was.
He always ends up with the most time in the car.
The guy who builds it gets the most time in it, I guess.
All right, guys, congrats. And what are you going to do? Go to Disneyland with all that Nissan money?
No, we're probably going to go buy new front brakes because we cooked through 2 sets of brakes this weekend, and we're going to have to figure that out.
Buy some better beer?
We got Stella. I mean,
there you go. That'll work.
That's not bad. So, yeah, then we're going to celebrate, and I don't know. We'll probably see you at Gingerman. If not, it's going to be Road America. So.
All right, guys. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good one, guys. All right, 45th Parallel Racing and their little Miata conquering this big car day weekend.
Yeah, just fun to be out here. I say it takes the whole team to put it together, but Paul, our mechanic, really, I mean, this thing you just point and shoot. It's just so easy to drive. Our pits were clean. I mean, we just had a really good day all around.
You guys pretty much kept it on track all day, too.
Yeah, I think we just had one off today, which is pretty good for us. Usually we're playing in the grass way more often than that.
You're apexing the corners.
Yeah, sometimes that's where you got to be to get the pass done, I guess.
There you go. Any other issues out there this weekend?
Temps, actually. First time ever for having temp issues. I think that we got to get some better cooling ducting around the fan to get some of that airflow through it. So we couldn't use any sort of drafting this weekend at all. We had to just be offline and duck in at the last minute. So
the temps would pop up that quick?
Oh, yeah. We could not be behind cars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So who are your drivers this weekend?
We've got Adrian Sepoy, Stephen Greenwald, and then I did doubles, Jeff Stevens.
Cool. All right, guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Daring greatly and the big, huge American Cataract. Awesome race out there, man.
Thanks, Bill. It's taken a long time to get here. I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
That's all right. You're doing good.
This is our first impound ever.
Oh.
So wow. We started in 19. We did 1 race in 19 at Gingerman, and we do 3 races a year roughly, and here we are.
So the Cadillac actually did pretty well. It looked good out there. You actually put a smaller engine in it for this year.
I did. I actually want to publicly thank Chris Huggins. That guy has a job that I wouldn't want in a million years, and I know that him and I have gone back and forth a little bit on the internet about points values and VPIs, but he just said, hey, I just don't think your car is built to its full potential. And I just said, you know what, we got to try a different approach. We have a hard time getting 2 hours on fuel with the old engine. I figured we'd back down horsepower a little bit, see if we can add some aero. We upped our tire game this time, which I'm sure is probably what solved all this. But yeah, I want to say thanks to Chris Huggins for pushing me.
Well, putting that 1.2 liter engine in there probably helped a lot too.
Right.
But it looked good out there. Who are your drivers this weekend?
We had myself, Alex Samardzic, Chris Flamion, and Ron Spear.
And what's your name so I can put it in the subtitles?
Lee Mulliman.
There you go. All right, Lee. All right, guys, good race. 3rd place finish overall here on Sunday at Autobahn.
Thank you. I want to thank my sponsors. My wife, number 1. Radium Engineering helped us out with the build when we built it with the fuel cell. They were very generous in helping us get this car going. Also, Scapel Cadillac, who's my employer, and all the guys that work there in the service department have been phenomenal in helping this car come to be what it is.
Okay, so the most wanted question on Tuesday is probably going to be, where do I get my wife?
Thanks, Bill.
All right, guys. All right, the little tiny car, a little BMW back there, and probably the biggest guy on pit lane. Why are you backing up?
We can go closer to it.
No, that's good. My son's like your height. Gorilla sticker, man. That was a good race out there.
Thanks. We finished with 4th gear only, but it was pretty smooth. This is a perfect track for the 4th gear only thing.
So a lot of teams yesterday had problems with gearboxes. Was it just the amount of shifting you had to do here?
It was probably a problem that was plaguing us from a race before. It was just probably a tiny little plastic part from the clutch master to the pedal, and it was enough to not work at all at the last couple stints. But actually, this track is pretty good for getting a rhythm in fourth gear. Shifting would have dropped a couple seconds, but wasn't too bad. It's not like we were really suffering that much.
So who are your drivers today?
We had Barry Stewart. We had Steve, I don't know his last name, Glenn Kretsch, and myself, Evan.
Cool. All right, guys. Congrats on your fourth place finish.
Thanks.
All right, Evan. Endurance Racing did pretty well this weekend. I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. 5th place overall, man. This is a pretty hefty field here to finish that.
We're all 4th in class, same as yesterday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we overcame the penalty laps and made it to impound 2 days in a row for the first time. So, hopefully someday we'll hold a trophy.
See, that's pretty good, though. I mean, this is a pretty stacked field today. There was some of the top teams that got knocked out pretty quick, but
a lot of C cars. A lot of C cars. Yep.
So who are your drivers this weekend?
Evan Salmonson, Jared Salmonson, Blaine Salmonson, and Ian Sepinen.
And you guys are all related except for that one guy?
Yeah. He wishes he could be a Salmonson, but.
All right, where are you going to race at next?
We'll be at Road America in the fall.
All right, congrats, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Begley Motorsports with the Datsun 510. I play with this car usually about every single day on my desk at home. It's a Hot Wheel.
So you've got the diecast. Awesome. Well, it just became worth more, I think, didn't it?
Yeah. So B class winner today here at Autobahn. Who were your drivers this weekend?
So it was myself, Max Neiman, and Kurt Neri. We've been doing this with us pretty much ever since we got the car.
So huge Datsun contingency out there in the world probably watching this weekend. Nice to see a 510 up here on the podium.
Yeah, a 51-year-old car. That's pretty cool. But we decided that the car is the youngest part of the whole team. We thought the car was old, but then we did an average. We're like, it's actually the youngest part of the team. So
what was the advantage that you had with this car over some of the other B-class teams?
We survived. That was the whole thing. We didn't necessarily do it on speed. Just ran a decent pace and we're there at the end.
The car's pretty darn reliable now.
It is. Yeah, we went through a few mishaps with it early on and figured out the maintenance schedule on it, and so we've been finishing races ever since.
Cool. Where are you going to race at next with us?
I believe it'll be Gingerman.
Cool. All right. Good race, guys.
Thank you very much.
Let me walk over the car here. All right, down here with IFS Racing, formerly JTK, right?
Yeah, formerly JTK.
So IIFFIS.
There should be a second I. I forgot the second I in there. So
I finished first in EC today.
It's really hard when nobody else is running.
We scared him yesterday.
Yeah, we almost scared him off the track.
Wait a second, you finished. There's a lot of cars that did not finish.
You know us well, don't you, Bill? Yes, we finished. That was a
It can't be us.
yes.
But
yes.
it is endurance.
It's because we didn't bring the Canadian.
I'm not going there. I have those two.
Where's Todd?
Yeah,
Where's Todd? Where's Todd?
You know those fast times at Road America? Those are Todd. But we missed Todd. So
who are your racers today?
myself and this gentleman to my right, Jeff.
Yep. Yeah.
You guys are a bunch of old guys, so that's pretty good. 7 hours.
Experience, please.
Sorry, I meant that. 6.
Todd's usually our third, so yeah, we bucked it up, and it about heat stroked me yesterday, so I prepared a little better today. So we battled a ball joint on the right front that tried to disembark itself all day. So we did what we could.
So
like it was really hard with just one car.
So one of your drivers there used to work for X-Track?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Have you suggested putting an automatic in it yet?
I'd love to get a sequential box in there.
Wouldn't we all?
X-Track would do a great job. I just need a bigger budget, like we were just kind of talking about.
You need to have an E30 budget.
Yeah, exactly.
How to get fired from ChampCar.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lot of beer money.
So tell us a little about the Maxima there.
You know, so he's X-Track, but the other guy that's not here is Todd. He's a true race engineer. He is a true race engineer. Serious. Once you get him in the seat, it's like, I'm cold, I'm hot. Oh, the seat's to this. Love you, Todd. But no, it's so we've started adding stuff, and this is, you know, it's a builder series, and build to a point. I was like, let's just see how fast it can go. Let's just see what we can do. The one thing I will say, following a lot of these rear-wheel drives, you see how they sling it around, and you just got to wait on the front wheel drive to take a little bit more of a set. So yeah, maybe I've got to rethink this, but we've just slowly built it up and put aero on it, and I think I've decided when it's hot, we shouldn't be running aero because the way everything's packaged up underneath there. And then Road America and colder, it might work a little better, but yeah, the training actually lasts. That was a positive. Braked well all day. The brakes were actually pretty good. A lot of that has to do with the Yokohamas. I'll fully admit that. But even then, we could get probably 5 hours out of a set of Yokohamas out of the fronts. The rears last. So it's just we've been running this car off and on for 10 years, and just a slow build process, slow iteration. So
well, congrats on your EC win, and we'll see you the next race.
Yeah, hopefully we'll make Road America. Hopefully Todd will be there, and we'll see what happens.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Bill.
Good luck.
Thanks, Bill.
Good race.
Welcome back to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Bielanski. He's Bill Strong. What a great show, Bill. Stephen Cox.
I'm wore out just trying to think of really cool questions that didn't make me sound like a noob at this.
You were great, man. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun. I always liked interviewing guys that, are kind of in the same business that we are, but at a way high level than we are.
Which is pretty much everybody.
You want to ask them, so how do you get those big jobs? No,
yeah. Well, I kind of did that.
Yeah. Hey, can I send you my resume now?
What's your email address?
Yeah.
Can I send you a reel?
No, he doesn't have one. You have to put it in the contact us, so it gets filtered by like 15 people.
Exactly.
Did you notice how he had people doing stuff for him?
Well, yeah, nobody. That was all before we started, but yes, he had a crew.
Right, yeah, he had a crew.
That's awesome.
And
That's
we
awesome.
need a crew. My wife said no.
I am my crew. I am the crew.
He said
good
no.
Stuff. Good stuff. All right, so we've got a meeting coming up on Thursday.
Yep, Thursday. I head out sometime dark and early Thursday morning to go to South Carolina. Dana thinks I'm going to get there at 3:00 and have it all set up for the 4:00 meeting, but we know that is a lie.
Come on.
Or maybe I just didn't tell him what it takes to do this. Oh yeah, I can do it. No problem.
Yeah, you're that good, Bill.
I'm that good. Yes. So tomorrow I'm going to basically be packing everything up. Today today was a mess. I'll tell you. That's a different story. All right. So Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern on June 22nd, 2023, in case you're watching this in the future. We're going to have our virtual BOD Board of Directors meeting, our annual meeting, live from Carolina Motorsports Park. I don't know if racers are allowed to come in. I honestly don't know. I'm not part of that decision-making crew. But we will be broadcasting it on our ChampCar.live YouTube channel. You can meet your board of directors, Justin Andrus, Chris Huggins, Tiffany Alexander. Roger Cohen won't be there. He'll be joining us virtually. Ray Frank and Frank Reinhelt and Mike Coleman will be live. Dana Morrison will be emceeing as well, along with me producing it locally. Paulie will be prepping for the Saturday ChampCar Live race from the track. Tiffany will be up in the tower. I'll be up there as well doing the logs and marching ants, and also helping along on the show. So that's going on. We're going to get the latest updates from Dana Morrison about the company, 2022 ChampCar International Incorporated financial statements, and the what everybody wants to hear, the ChampCar BCCR changes and updates for 2024.
So people can watch that right here where they're watching this, right?
Yes, correct. If you have any questions, please email me, media@champcar.org. That's the easiest way to remember. We've sent out an email to all current members. If you're not a current member, you're welcome to join us, but got to be a member to help make the decisions of the company. Yes, I know where I was going with that, but yeah, it's late. It's late, man. I haven't had much sleep in the last 6 days. You can also, like I said, email me. You can also ask questions on the ChampCar forum. We have a thread started where you can ask questions. Go ahead and do that, and I'll pass them on to the board. All right, so we also got a couple races coming up. Like I said, we have 36 cars signed up for CMP, which is Carolina Motorsports Park. 55 cars signed up for Sebring, and we still have a lot of room left in that one. MSR Houston, 14 cars. We have a lot of room in left, but we are doing that race, folks. We'd love to have at least 20. Let's go. There's a lot. I know there's a lot of teams down there. Hey, all you guys at Harris Hill, come on out. Have some fun at MSR Houston. High Plains Raceway, we bumped that one up. That's up to 20 cars now. Lifeline 24-hour classic at Virginia International Raceway. We're up to 57 cars, and that's on track to being a pretty big event. And today's the cutoff date for Gingerman Raceway, which is a week later. And we started out this morning with 16 cars. We're now up to 24, and we're on our way to a normal. We usually get between 30 and 35 cars at that race. I think one time we had, 60 or 40, 50 cars. It was a huge amount of cars on this small track, but it was fun. Yeah, so that's coming up. What else? Do you think of anything, Brian?
No, I think you're doing great.
Anything these guys need to know?
While you were jabbering along, I put up your email address for everyone to see.
Yep.
So
Bill.strong@champcar.org or just simply media@champcar.org. Stud Muffin at champcar.org was taken.
Yeah, because Dana has that.
Dana has it, yeah. So
I'm here for you, Dana.
Oh yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
It's late. It's been a great couple days.
It has
we
been.
go to CMP this week. Next week we head to Sebring, come home, get our laundry done, turn around and head back down to Florida. So then I think we get a few days off, but I don't know who we're going to have next week. We have a choice. If you guys want to be on this show, please email me at media@champcar.org. And we'll entertain some pretty cool people and have you on this show. And I think, it's fun, man.
Yeah. I think we have a blast.
Yeah,
but I'm biased.
We do. All right, guys.
That's a good one.
Yep.
All right. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel. That would be ChampCar Live or the Racing Wire Podcast Network. Don't miss any episodes. It would also be great if you'd share it all on your social media channels. Comment on the ChampCar Facebook page, especially if it's a good one. We have new episodes every week. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski. And you are listening, of course, to ChampCar Live and the Racing Wire Podcast Network. See you next week, Bill.
Later, man.